how do they buy it? They buy it with money out of thin air. So that's inflationary. That dilutes the value of the dollar. So we literally can finance a war through inflation. Countries have done this for thousands of years. They have literally undermined the value of the currency. In the old days, it was diluting the metal or clipping coins or doing whatnot. Even in early China history, they had paper currency. But tyrants and empires always destroy their money. And they can't, and they do it in a more sophisticated manner now than ever before, and they're shrewder. I mean, they get away with it. They prop it up, and they talk to each other, and they might prop up our consumers, and the Chinese might buy our Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac securities, but what it does, it allows the politicians to get into wars and into the welfare system and not act responsibly because, the Fed will take care of it. You know, the Fed will create this money, and nobody now we're having a serious crisis on the financial market, but nobody's ever going to say, well, that's part of the reason why we're financing this war through inflation. This is exactly what happened after the 60s, what motivated me in the 70s, because we had, back then it was guns and butter. What are we doing now? It's guns and all these new entitlement programs. Boy, thank goodness we don't have those liberals in charge like we used to. But here the conservatives are up there increasing all these entitlement programs, depending on the Fed. So ultimately, governments depend on inflation. That is the creation of new money out of thin air to finance war, and very, very destructive eventually to the economy.
We have time for a couple more questions back there. Yeah.
Thank you for being here and speaking with us, Congressman Paul. My name is Amy Gilley. I'm very concerned about our borders, and I wonder, where do you stand on securing our borders, and what would you do about the thousands of illegal immigrants that are currently here in the country? Thank you.
Well, I thought I wouldn't get any tough questions today, so no, I'm for stronger borders. I don't want the border guards in Iraq, where some of them are right now. I want them on our borders. We should have more border guards. We should have more security. I think citizenship is too much of a gift. Birthright citizenship and amnesty, I'm not in support of that. I am not a fan of fences and guns and threats to keep people out. But I see that it is the subsidization of illegal immigrants that counts. The promise of citizenship in an easy way by averting the law, I think, is an inducement, as well as free education and free medical care that are mandates. Our hospitals are being closed in Texas because they can't afford it, and there's mandates on it. And in some hospitals, 75% are deliveries of illegal aliens. And it's because of the system. But ultimately, what I'm really interested in is getting rid of the welfare state. Because the welfare state encourages some of our workers, believe it or not to work, and then jobs go begging and people come over and they take the job. If we had a true free market economy, if we had a sound economy, we weren't wasting these $1 trillion a year and overseas messing around, this country would be so prosperous, the immigration issue would be a non-event, totally. There would be a need for workers, and they could come. There would be a workers program, and it would enhance our economy. Right now, today, what we have devised is a system where the illegal immigrants and immigrants are becoming the scapegoat, unnecessarily so. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't ignore it, but that's the real reason. One more.
One more question right here.
Hi, my name is David Befford, and I'm a student here. First off, just quickly about, illegal immigrants don't actually get benefits from the federal government, and so if there's resentment, it's a misperception on the part of the American people, not because they actually get benefits. But I'm wondering about I guess you're advocating the gold standard then, is that correct?
Well, first thing is I'm advocating the Constitution, which says only gold and silver can be legal tender.
Okay, so essentially a gold standard-like system. I mean, aren't you then giving away, useful tools to sort of adjusting the economy, just sort of you can have this sort of idea of virtue that the government won't, spend too much or won't be able to use inflation. I mean, I think that that's really kind of irresponsible, actually, because you're giving up sovereignty for something that's also arbitrary. And I mean, I just don't see why you can't live with 2 to 3% inflation a year.
Well, that is the Milton Friedman approach. You mean you're talking about a 2 to 3% increase in the money supply per year? Inflation. Okay, how do you measure inflation? By prices or by monetary supply? See, pardon me? Prices. See, okay. To me, the definition of inflation is increases in the supply of money.